Hello, welcome back to the podcast. Before we get into this juicy episode where me and Michael try badly predict the future and you most definitely will lose a few brain cells, I want to quickly tell you about the 45 quid no contract offer for my online one-on-one coaching. Yes, you did hear that, 45 quid no contract. So like every other coach and their granny who also probably does coaching these days, I always offer a 12-week minimum sign-up for coaching. So you have to sign up for 12 weeks, and right now that currently costs 547 quid. Now, I'm 100% reasonably priced. If you inquire with 10 coaches, about 4 of them are going to ask you for about $2,000. However, even though I'm absolutely worth that money, I understand that you've only seen me online, and 547 quid of your hard-earned money is really risky. You're probably thinking, how does he actually help me with food online? How does he help me with the gym online? Does he just send me a meal plan and put me in a massive group? How do I trust this guy? That's where this offer comes in. A few people have asked me, is this 45 quid for the full year? Well, Sandra, if I charged 45 quid for online coaching for a year, I'd be on a strict diet of eating the grass in my back garden. And by month 2, I would be onto my neighbour's garden. So instead of having to risk 547 quid, you only have to risk £45. So this is going to be a weekly offer, but after the first week, you have options to go onto a cheaper rolling monthly or pay for a block up front. So the absolute worst case scenario is you pay 45 quid for a week of coaching where you have access to my WhatsApp. You have lifetime access to all my training portals that I use to teach my clients about every single subject. And you get to send me your form in the gym where I can help you with form reviews that I do all by myself. And if you think by the end of that first week that, do you know what, this isn't for you, you absolutely can quit. But I definitely don't think you'll do that. So all you have to do is sign up to the priority list in the description or the show notes below. So if you're not on the email priority list, we'll all get sent a link to pay on the 28th of June. There's a high chance you won't get a space. Now, let's get into the show. If you're watching on Spotify or listening on Spotify, give me a wee rating, man. I'm trying to get up to 200 just purely for my ego, and I think it looks good. Then if you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, all of that, good stuff that fuels my ego. Yeah, that's it. Enjoy the show.
Nah, I don't like intros. They make me feel awkward. And I reckon it would make you feel even...
Do an intro.
I don't do intros. I've got nothing to intro. Well, you intro yourself, right? But look, I'll put you on the spot. Go.
What do you want me to say?
20 seconds to intro yourself and let's see how this goes.
Right, okay. Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good start.
How's it going, folks? My name is Michael Neely, and it's great to be here with Gavin today. Today we have absolutely no fucking clue what we're going to talk about because we've spent 3 days with each other, so... This will probably be a hard enough listen, but sure, we'll see how it will go.
I reckon it's fine. I think you underestimate us.
Think so?
Yeah, I think you absolutely underestimate us.
I already have nothing to say after you said that, so... Yeah.
Well, you're lucky that I've spent all morning getting a wee fucking prep for this, and I've got my notepad. Right, let's go over your predictions for yesterday.
Here we go.
Wait till you hear some of these balls. What year are we going for?
Paul will be intelligent enough to probably agree with me on two out of 3 of them, I think.
Right, let's go over them. Right, so your first one is not... Are we going 2040 or 2050? And don't do what you done yesterday with Kaylin where you started...
I want to actually change one of them because sometimes I say things and I don't actually fully understand what I'm putting my foot into. So I'm going to change the age one.
No, you can't change the age one because that's why it was so funny.
Can we actually soundboard this off Paul? Can Paul be part of this discussion? Is that okay?
We can just chip in if he wants. But Paul, you can't hear him.
I'll put a mic on and I'll be an independent adjudicator.
Okay, so...
You don't need to participate full time, but when you hear him say something ridiculous...
Prediction for the future, number 1. Man will inhabit the moon by 2040.
No.
Thanks, Paul.
In what way do you imagine that they'll inhabit the moon? And
No, I don't don't get me wrong, I don't think there's going to be cities on the moon. I just think there's going to be a moon base and there's going to be people living on the moon by 2040.
Okay,
so I don't mean there's going to be a fucking functioning city of people and people shagging on the moon and making little moon babies.
Paul, watch the backtracking that goes on when he says these.
No, I didn't say... What did I say? I didn't say any of this yesterday.
Like a train coming back.
There's going to be a moon... You ever watch this film? What's the Matt Damon one where he's on Mars living by himself? The Martian. Mm-hmm. So kind of like that, but on the moon.
Right, maybe, yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
that was a yeah.
What was after you put the train back in the station?
I thought you were going to be making Champions League predictions.
He does them as well.
They're usually wrong.
Right. The next one. Let's not change the age thing because
No, we're changing the age thing, definitely.
no, because this is what he said when we were going up Ben Lomond. Right. He thinks that providing nothing will happen, either like humans kill each other or like there's a
Which is pretty
nuclear
likely,
anything.
by the way.
Yeah. He said he thinks we have the capacity, or like with medicine, we will be able to live to between.
Pharmaceuticals, genetic engineering, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll be able to live over 100 years old.
No. He said 150 to 200 yesterday. He said 120 yesterday, and now he's brought it down to 100.
Okay. So do they already think that the first person to live to 150 is alive?
So there you are.
I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere.
Yeah,
where
like there's a
No, but you said like
with,
more.
what,
You
heard
said
all
me
this-
and you.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, as long as we don't get hit by a bus or fucking shot in a war somewhere because we're fighting for freedom, or whatever. But
I think that could be right.
yeah,
Aye.
150 to 200. You can't believe what is coming out in the next 15 to 20 years as far as like
'cause it's not hammed
pharmaceuticals
yet.
are concerned.
Stem cell.
Yeah,
shit and-
yeah, all that stuff, anti-aging technology.
Yeah.
Right, next one.
Are you starting to feel a bit stupid now?
No, I still back myself because they said there's stuff they were coming out with 20, 30 years ago that they thought about today.
Yeah, but
was well
your
off.
thing was they said they would fly cars. Like, I don't think intelligent people probably thought that 30 or 40 years ago because it's not even practical.
We still massively overestimate what we're capable of.
I don't think so. I also think we can't 100% predict the direction we're going to go either. I think a lot of it's random.
Now, me and you can.
I think
On this part, this is going to
do
be
you
the
think
most.
the AI will be able to fly cars because then it takes.
Well,
out the
what is it
human
they say about
idiocy
AI?
Of, like try to fly a car and crash in a fucking car, you know?
They say in 10 years, AI is going to be 1,000 times smarter than the smartest human being. And in 20 years, 1,000,000 times smarter than the smartest human being. So obviously they'll be able to come up with some freaky shit that we can't even comprehend, which is both scary and positive, I suppose.
I don't think it's very positive.
Depends what way you look at things, I think. What was prediction number 3?
I think you said we will reach Mars by 2040.
By 2040, there'll be a manned mission to Mars. Whether that's the Chinese or the Americans, or probably those are probably the
Well,
only
it'll
two.
be 2023.
Well, they're already talking about it. It's already being talked about by NASA and whatever the Chinese
How
equivalent
long
of
does
that
it
is.
take them to get something to Mars, do you know?
Oh, I've no idea what the...
So like
It's, yeah, I'm thinking months, years.
years?
Yeah, maybe months, 6 months.
I think it's more than that, man. I think the last fucking unmanned thing took, what, fucking 8 years?
8 years to Mars.
Something like that, man, aye. How long?
We're also going to get you to predict these in order, Paul, of most likely to happen to
Okay.
least likely.
Oh, no, it's 7 months. 300 million miles, 480 million kilometres. Jesus Christ.
Crazy.
This is the most.
Now, I'm not saying it's going to be successful. I'm not saying they're going to inhabit the moon, but I'm saying there'll be a...
We're on Mars.
yeah,
Try to send a man to Mars.
yeah.
I think that's the least likely.
most likely the age one.
Yeah. And then the moon in the middle.
I think the age one is the most likely if we bring the age down to like us living to like 120. But when you say, it was when we were just walking up a mountain, you said we'll live to 150, 200. That was hilarious.
Yeah, you near fell off the fucking cliff. You nearly didn't live there.
adamant as well.
So ironic, she near fell off the cliff.
I was researching predictions, right, and we'll just have a bit of back because some of them make, I don't know about you, but I feel nervous reading some of the things that they're predicting.
Nah,
that will
like
happen.
I think we talked about this yesterday. Like my outlook on things like this is net positive, whereas yours is like the general consensus is for people to be negative in general.
Did my dad talk to you about the prices of everything last night?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's why.
He's a dad after all, you know. That's what they do.
I think I went to the toilet and that's the first time you meet my dad and he was like, the price of beer's the only thing that's no went up. And I was like, there he goes. There he goes. I'm out the door 2 seconds. Straight onto the prices. But I think that's why I'm like cynical.
Because of your dad?
Well, he's like me times 10. He's cynical about everything. If my dad...
People are cynical. Like 90% of people are
If there's
very,
a We
very
Buy Any
sick.
Car advert on the telly, he'll like call them fucking Tory bastards. I don't know why, but that's what he'll do.
Yeah, Big John.
Anyone that's
Big
got
John.
money, he automatically takes an extreme dislike to.
Someone that's very, very close to me actually said, and don't name him, right? This actually came out of the mouth of someone that I'm very close with.
Do I know who
They
it
said,
is?
Well, I said it to you yesterday. He said that if you're a billionaire, you're basically a paedophile. Is that a true statement, Paul?
Yeah. No, I mean, you're definitely a
And he was
cunt,
being
like.
dead serious. Like he's like, you have to be a paedophile to be a
I
billionaire.
don't think you need to be a paedophile to be a billionaire, but you definitely need to be some sort of cunt. I
Yeah.
read a thing yesterday that said that if you made $5,000 a year, $5,000 a day since the Declaration of Independence, you would still only be at $500 million.
That's crazy. So what you're saying is you effectively have to have did some very shady shit to get there, or like
100,
very manipulative shit. Yeah.
100%. Yes. You don't get to that level of wealth without having fucked a multitude of people over,
Yeah.
including the taxpayer.
A bit like
in some
being,
way, shape,
a
or
bit
form,
like
you
getting
know?
to be the
Moving your
president
business
or whatever.
to Dubai and all.
Like that's what
all
you hear
sorts.
about people that get into positions to be like prime minister or presidents. They've had to have like did some not illegal shit, but they've had to like manipulate a lot of shit to get there. over
Politicians
long
to get to the top
spans of time.
have to backstab people they're in their
Yeah,
parties
100%.
with.
Yeah.
Like talking behind their back, like making up rumours and stuff like that, definitely.
Yeah.
That's why we hear about it all. I also think like one of the, but this is, I've tried to say this 3 times, but this is going to be like another White Bollywood podcast, and as soon as I started talking, I was like, this is just that complete and utter vibe. But why do we take advice off like the richest people in the world on how to live life? Do you know what I mean? Like billionaires and stuff, we read their books and their outlook on life.
I think it's because the narrative of society is that people want to be there, you know. That's the pinnacle for some people. I don't know why we do it, but like a lot, like even we do it. Even we fall into traps of reading like books by Alex Hormozy or watching videos of like billionaires, or we have did it at least. And it's like, you know, why are we doing that? You know,
What do you think, Alex Hormozy? And see what you said about you're positive and I'm negative.
I genuinely don't like. I think it's just wishy-washy bollocks.
Yeah,
to be
I'm
honest,
same.
like I don't think any of it is actually actionable stuff that you can do anything with. I think he's literally just trying to monetize a product.
I think he's a buzzword central.
Like I've never, and again, I'm not great at grasping information in the first place, like, and being practical with it. But I've never.
Give yourself a break. It's the dyslexia in it.
Yeah, we'll blame it on the dyslexia and the Irish names.
Can't spell them. How do you spell Caitlin? C.
Do you know you've literally just spelled that for me, and I couldn't spell it back to you.
Because your brain malfunctions.
C. This word gets confusing, isn't it? C.
It's the same as the guy for Peaky Blinders.
CIA.
Where's the I coming from?
That is I.
No, Caitlin, my mate, isn't.
No,
That's
I'm
who you're
spelling
talking
your
about.
man's name.
Killian.
Oh, Killian. Right.
Sorry, I couldn't even pronounce it right. Killian, yeah. CIALL. CILLIAN.
Yeah.
Boom.
Oh, first Catholic name done.
What were we
Hormozy.
talking about? Yeah, I don't rate him at all. Which is someone sitting here earning $4,000 a month. That's pretty rich of me saying that, to be fair. But that's just me. I just don't. I've never listened to something that he's said and thought that is going to be useful. And that goes for tons of people as well on the internet.
I feel the exact same. I feel like everything he said it's maybe a problem that we've listened to a lot of that stuff though, because I feel like everything he said, I'm like, all I'm hearing is a slightly different tone in his voice
Yeah.
than not any different words, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I've like all of this has been said.
Have you
before.
read the whole book?
I've listened to like an hour and a half of it, and I wrote down one thing, and that was the title of the book.
You're going through a phase at the minute where you seem to be reading quite a bit,
Yeah.
which is good. But do you note take as you're reading as well, or do you just listen, or do you have like a routine or a regimen for like reading information and whatnot?
I'm reading in the morning, and half the books I've been reading have been fiction.
So you're just reading for reading's sake?
Yeah. I'm so his is an audiobook, and I'm just reading that because I'm doing that offer.
Right, okay.
That's the only reason I'm reading that. Most of the stuff I'm reading isn't anything to do with business or self-helpy. 2 books I read when I was in Australia was about Auschwitz.
Yeah. Any takeaways? Nazis are cunts.
I reckon
They're not ideal.
I don't think it'd be a good laugh being in there.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. Like, I go through phases of reading different types of books, but at the minute I'm reading mostly fiction-based books. Not like geography books and stuff like that as well.
I noticed.
Like
Picking up rocks and Ben Lomond
Like
going,
the
this
power-
is 1,000 years old.
like the power of geography, stuff like that. And it's just about different countries and whatnot. But I don't know about you.
What was it you said yesterday?
What about
The geology of this mountain is class.
millions of years?
I should have known you were reading a geography book.
Millions of years. That rocks.
You can tell when you're reading because like your narrative on life, like, or even just your mindset
Shifts
on life.
towards whatever I'm reading
whatever
about.
you're reading.
I think that's every.
You just like morph into the book.
And what other? So you reading that .com book as well?
.com
at the minute?
Secrets again for the, like, I'll read that and Alex Hormozy. So it's called .com Secrets. It's about internet sales basically.
Right.
Putting offers together so that if you, like, when you've got your recipe book, if you had 2 other products, like selling them as bundles, a lot of it's about sales scripts, but I kind of just like gloss over, like, I'm not going on the phone and putting people through their pain points. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially with weight loss. Like, that's what I didn't like about Alex Hormozy. One of the things he said was he was talking about selling weight loss, and he was like, you need to make sure people know that your offer is a quick fix.
Yeah.
And they're gonna get to their goal as quick as possible. And like, well, those two don't go together straight away, and that's how you instantly give people bad relationships. That's what's wrong with everything that gyms do.
Yeah.
Like with their whole 8-week shreds, or like, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, he's selling something that isn't true as well.
Yeah. You're selling the thing that people think they need when in reality,
Yeah,
they don't need. That isn't what they need.
You're just, and it's also the opposite of what he would do for himself.
Yeah.
because he knows, because he's a gym guy.
Yeah.
He knows.
When is the last time you read something fitness based? As in like a book or like something like that?
Fitness based.
Yeah.
Well, you said something like that. As in fitness or business, do you mean?
No, more like in and around fitness, weight loss, nutrition, training.
Ages.
Yeah.
A long time. I'm going to read that Peter Attia. I've not listened to him on a podcast. I'll read one of his books because everyone's banging on about that as well. Sometimes I'm like, if everyone's fucking going on about it, I'll read it. Well, I'd maybe read Ben Carpenter's.
What about Andrew
book.
Huberman?
I don't mind Andrew Huberman, but I do think he's also overhyped.
Yeah, I think he takes things that there probably is like a grain of truth to, and then like.
Well, he's a neuroscientist, isn't he?
That,
and then he steps into all these different topics.
I think for someone like him, if you take enough of those little things and do enough of them, you probably get some returns. But then you just turn into a full meme, don't you? Like you're waking up, fucking pushing your coffee back 2 hours, go on a walk. Do you ever listen to
What
one
have you
about
been
his
saying to
morning?
me every time I drink a coffee?
Fucking stop doing it.
That's too early.
But that is true though. Like, do you ever have caffeine as soon as you wake up? You do just feel shite.
What do you mean, do you ever? I've never not.
Well, try it. Andrew Huberman did a podcast about his morning routine, and he was like, it's like, you have to get up. This is a massive simplification, by the way. He was like, you have to get up. You have to get out. It was a Northern Irish accent as well. Out into the street, and you have to like get light into your eyes. But he says the optimal way to do it is by doing this. It's like trying to look behind yourself. Could you imagine being out in the street? Morning.
Can't look at you.
Well, that's what he said. He says that's like the optimal way to. I don't know what it is about getting light into your what do you call it?
Retina.
Periphery into your periphery vision or something
nearly.
like that.
Nearly got it.
Close enough. You're right. Not far off.
And then what was the other thing? It was like push your coffee back 60 minutes.
No, 2 hours. I think it is, isn't it?
2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours after waking. Yeah, don't get any screen time in the morning, which I think is pretty sound advice.
The screen time one's huge.
Yeah, which I don't do.
No, same. I've looked at my phone as soon as I woke up.
I think that's exercise. You say he likes to exercise early in the day, but he doesn't think there's any real logic behind or sound evidence behind when you actually train, as long as you're training. So
Yeah. It's like this cold water stuff I've been doing and I'm enjoying it. Especially I've not got the chance to go into something proper cold yet.
I would
because
love to see that.
I keep skipping winters. So everything, like the showers weren't cold in Australia. Now when I've came back, they're not as cold as
I'm
what
going to
they
say
would
it
have been.
right. A cold shower is worse than a cold dip by a mile.
But if you went for a cold shower, I don't know what this is like. Is surely cold showers are way worse in like January and February.
Oh, mate, like the
Yeah.
cold,
Yeah.
so anything
So I haven't
under
seen
3
it.
degrees is considered therapeutic. So actually, like
So,
the cold water that you get in Australia probably hit the mark.
Cold water in Australia. The shower
Yeah.
wasn't that cold.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be that cold.
Right.
Doesn't
Yeah.
need to be freezing. You don't
Right.
need to be like breaking the ice on your fucking back door.
Because I think like
Like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, like see all this stuff as well, man. See all this like Andrew Huberman stuff, and like I did a few lectures with Huberman when I was at Stanford and blah blah blah. Right, the placebo effect is so real.
Yeah.
This is all nonsense. Like we're living in a time where people are now getting up, taking the tape off their mouth so that they nose breathe during the night,
Yeah.
getting into their cold tubs, getting sunlight on their arseholes. Like, why are you doing it? Like, and it's like, I'm optimizing myself to go and stand in a fucking office. Like, this is like,
It's like pointless productivity
it's
almost.
so-
isn't
yeah,
it?
you're like almost like biohacking yourself to make yourself feel like you've got some sort of purpose when actually all you're trying to do is
Yeah.
make yourself feel better about your life.
That's
It's
it.
like, it's so weird. It's so like, I see people on Instagram and I'm like, these people are insane. Like they're
Yeah.
in the cold water and they're like high-fiving and like, woo, yes, man. Like, oh yeah, like I stabbed my best mate like back in the scheme, but that's just fixed it.
Yeah. Now I'm going through a morning routine and I'm solid.
Aye, man, what are we doing? There's another thing. It's like wellness for what? Like, see if you spend. I know people who spend their full day in a routine about wellness, and it's like, but why?
Yeah.
Your full life is about try to optimize yourself to live a good life, but you're not living a good life if you're constantly like in this sort of routine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if you fall out of the routine, you feel like you're out of control.
You know,
Oh my
Jen-
god! Like I can't have a Big Mac. Like, oh, that's me. And it's like that's insane, man.
Do you think hedonic adaptation sets in with that as well, where you do stuff like that for like whatever 6 months, and then you just adapt to that, and that becomes your norm, and then it's
Yeah,
you
mate.
get bored of that, and then it's the next phase. I think this is very much all a phase, all the fucking
Yeah.
cold water
When
shit.
you go through all that, if you like start doing that new morning routine, you'll maybe be like 8 or 9 out of 10 happy for like 2 weeks until you get acclimatized to that.
Everyone's
and then your baseline will go down again, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I do that all the time. Like the amount of times that I'm like, I don't go through that kind of fucking morning routine, like that crazy person morning routine, but I'll like maybe use Notion for a week to like track my notes and whatever, and I'll feel great about it. And then I'll get a bit fed up, like I'll just start using notes again with a slightly different setup. And it makes me feel good for a week. And then I'll be like, then I'll start using a notebook or whatever, just little things like that. You're just fucking changing little systems. And it does give you a little dopamine surge for like maybe a week or two until you get used to it. And then you're just back down to baseline.
We've tried every single productivity and work hack there is.
Haven't sunned their arse, to be fair.
We might give that a try. But we have, like, I tried that Pandora effect. We work 25 minutes and take 5 minutes off, and I fucking hated it.
Pandora. Try again.
Panda.
Pomodoro.
Good stuff. I told you I'm aging, mate.
Who's the dyslexic one?
This is what this is getting old.
Yeah.
Getting first names and last names mixed up.
That is so true. I don't know if, Paul, you could speak to this, but like I've just noticed like in the past 2 years, cognitively, I'm getting so bad as far as like memory and stuff is concerned.
You know the way you used to...
I don't know if that's because my social media usage is much more and my attention span and focus is so much worse, or I'm actually just getting older and cognitively
It's
declining.
first and last names for me. I just get them back to front, or like mix 3 people up and like merge them all as one
Like
person.
I'll literally be driving and I'll be like, I'll have 2 things in my head and I can't wait to stop to write them down. But see, by the time I've stopped, I can't fucking remember what was in my head. And that never used to happen like years ago.
Right, I've got some other internet predictions, and we don't need to be like, this is true or false, just more like, how does this make you feel? I think this is true. 2050, you'll be able to upload your consciousness to a computer. Now, I don't know what your consciousness really is.
I can't. What does that even mean? I don't even know what your consciousness is.
I had a
So you're gonna be able to teleport yourself into another person. Is that what you're saying, or another thing like a computer?
on a computer because
So you can be me for the day, and I can be you for the day.
I had like a debate with a girl where she was talking about she was like talking about her soul. Which kept on talking about her soul. She was into like astrology and stuff, and I was like, "What actually?
Right, okay.
What is your soul?
Shut that down.
What actually is it? Like, tell me what your soul actually is.
Yeah.
Because surely your emotions and stuff come from your brain.
Very deep. Yeah, I have no idea what that. When people say that, like your soul leaves your body when you die.
Yeah, what's that mean?
I have no idea what that means. Like, I wish someone would explain that to me.
We're doing well here. People will have chips inside them to monitor their health.
Yes, definitely.
And I think
100%.
that'll be fucking class.
That'll be unreal. But just by the nature of human beings, people will be so skeptical about that, and they'll be like, "You're not putting a fucking chip in my body."
Only chips I'll be putting in will be fucking McDonald's.
That'll definitely happen, yeah. And that'll be great because they can monitor things like your cholesterol, your blood pressure in real time. They could probably even like monitor when you're going to have a heart attack and stuff like that. Maybe
Yeah.
not exactly, but
I think
when
it'd be pretty
cancer
bang on.
starts, yeah.
Do you think that'll have a positive or negative impact on like people's health and people like obesity? I know you're going to say positive, but like look at the state of things now. And it's the most
definitely a
most
positive,
information we have in the world right now, and it's the unhealthiest people have been. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely a positive effect, yeah. I can't see there being any negatives.
No,
in
neither
that.
can I, but I do.
But I do think we are, like, as a species, going down a real path of like chasing dopamine a lot more as well. So if that continues on that same trend for the next 30 or 40 years, then we could potentially still be even fatter and even fucking more unable to focus on things. So
How often do you do something without like having something on in the background?
very rarely, like work. When I'm working, I'll have music. You've seen it, music playing in the background, or I'll be listening to talk.
I don't mind it.
When I'm cooking. When's the last time you literally sat down and ate like a salad? Up the salads, by the way.
Up the cells?
Nah, definitely not. And didn't like weren't watching something. Literally just eating the salad for eating the salad's sake, or eating oats and protein for eating oats and protein's sake.
I don't.
Yeah.
I actually like will have it. Even if I cook, I'll have a podcast on the background, which is grim into it. Why can't
You
I
go
just
a walk, you can't even do it without having a podcast. It feels weird going a walk and not having a podcast in your ear.
like we went up Ben Narnane, me and Kaylin, right, and there was 3 people that walked past us on their own without anything on their ears.
Do you know what it, right?
Remember I told you I was going to ask a boy to come with us yesterday because he walked down with us for 2 hours. He was one of them, and he was like, he's like, everyone's saying the same shit in podcasts, and I was like, fair point.
Yeah. Do you know what, like, I think should be banned? People walking up mountains playing music, like, in stereos and stuff. Like, you're literally just ruining a good walk. Like, if there's one thing you want to be present for, especially when you're with lots of people, it's just that walk.
Especially when you play the tunes that we're playing yesterday.
I don't care. It could be any tunes. It could be fucking Pink Floyd. It could be Led Zeppelin or whatever. Like good tunes. You just shouldn't play tunes walking up a mountain.
I would agree with you. It was infuriating for people that weren't even in the group, like me and you.
Yeah,
because they were behind us for
fuzzy
like an hour.
background noise coming in from over the hill.
And also was fucking dealing with your shite.
Yeah, it was pretty annoying yesterday. But I think that's a good thing. I think the chips
Right, here's
are a good thing.
Here's an interesting one. More people, this was wrote as, it said basic, right, but I changed the wording to it because that's kind of what they were saying. More people will be on minimum or basic wage due to AI. So like the net pay, like the net that people get paid will be less because of AI. Because like
Explain that further.
So like if you're like getting qualifications to get promoted in work, you're getting qualifications, you're getting better at your job, but AI is going to be better than everyone at all jobs. So that's what they're saying. This isn't me. This isn't my opinion, by the way.
So what you're effectively saying is that AI is going to take jobs.
Yeah. But they're obviously going to. It's
Yeah,
obviously
they're
going
to take jobs.
Obviously going to take jobs. I read something before. I read a book before that was. It had the complete opposite opinion that there's never been a lack of jobs because there'll be jobs to fix AI.
Yeah, they always just take low level jobs. Well, but it might be different with AI because they'll be more intelligent than human beings. But you think about jobs that we used to do 100 years ago have been replaced.
Yep.
So that's what the book was saying. It was like
people just end up doing better jobs.
Yeah, that's
in
what
the future.
Yeah, that's what that book
more
was saying.
less. What's the word? Less labor intensive or.
So we like our jobs will be like figuring out how to use AI better.
They'll just be better jobs, and hopefully as we get older as well, we'll be able to fix this. Like, well, obviously not fix it completely, but like this disparity between people that are earning like fucking 12 grand a year and people that are earning fucking 4
You ever
million.
listen to Russell Brand stuff on all of that?
About what the disparity in wealth between?
Yeah.
Not really. I don't really. Russell Brand is another person that is great to listen to for like 2 minutes for me, but he just goes over my head. Like I can't comprehend what he's talking about. Really. Yeah, very intelligent dude.
He's not very good at simplifying stuff, is he?
No, I use his big words.
I don't think he's as intelligent as what he thinks he is. I think
he just
he's one of
uses
the people.
mad
No
words,
offense
doesn't
to
he?
what you just said there, but I think he's one of the people that idiots thinks intelligent because he talks in this like the world is blah 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 blah. But actually, I think he's thick as fuck.
It's more his energy, you mean, then, that gives off?
Yeah, he's very convincing, great sales guy, very charismatic. But when he actually talks, it's like, do you really know what you're talking about here? Like, where are you getting these opinions? And I think he sort of like passes off other people's opinions as his own. So he reads a lot of like Chomsky, and he's like, that's it. And it's like, but you've not done any of that research.
Yeah.
Kind of like Rogan in a way. Like, you've not lived any of the shit that you're talking about. You're just listening to people talk about it and then start passing it off as your own opinion.
Well, he has
he
has the best tool for that he's had all these people on, hasn't he? So you can just regurgitate what he's heard on his podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you think about it, most people are just regurgitating what they've heard on other podcasts by smarter people.
Yeah.
But see, on that AI that you were saying there, I think, well, if you look at the way that things are going, we're just going to end up being given a bunch of money to live and keep the economies moving.
That's what it said on this as well. It was like
starting in England, mate, like they're getting 1,600, they're getting 120 people 1,600 quid a month in universal basic income. And that's the way it's going to go. Like, either that or there's going to be a vast amount of people that just fall off the poverty ladder and just end up dying.
Yeah.
Because even GPs gone.
Yeah, they're already gone.
They reckon that, so the population of America is like 200 million. They reckon that somewhere between 2 and 4 million people drive for a living. Gone. All of their jobs gone.
They'll all be replaced by robots that are much better drivers.
Trains gone. Truck driving, all of that, taxis, that's all gone. Glasgow Underground's already got manless trains on the go, testing for launch in 2024. So I think that what we're going to end up doing is moving towards the arts, where we'll be more about music and, you know, stuff that we actually love.
Yeah.
And less about sort of productivity and they'll give us money to keep the economy going. And that's why they're moving towards this sort of digital currency where they can just be like, here, you know, go and buy. It'll be, remember George W. Bush in the 2000s where they were like, after 9/11, they were like, what can the average person do to support the government? And he was like, go shopping. That is what we're going to end up. Just consumers are like shit and just go shopping and spend money, and that'll be it. And the robots will take care of everything else that we need to, you know.
This whole online world, like jobs that we do now didn't exist 20 years ago. So you mean it's just going to be a step up from that again? Like
even the online coaching world, gone. Therapy, gone. All it.
You think a robot will be able to do that better?
Yeah.
You think
a robot will be able to do therapy better?
I don't doubt that they'll be able to do it better. It's just whether humans will take it seriously or not.
There's going to be consequences of all of it as well.
Oh, of course, but
Like
they'll be able to do everything better if they're 1,000 times smarter.
They've already got chatbots where people are like, "That's a human being." Like they'll put 10 people in like a chatbot to customer service and go, do you think that was AI or do you think that was a human? And we're already at the point where they're like, that was a human being and it's AI.
It's going to mean that there's going to be
even be able to tell the fucking difference between it as well.
There's going to be no way to like innovate then, is there really?
Well, the AI will do it.
Yeah, that's what I mean as a human. So like, what's the point in us trying to be like
why do they need us then? You know, like if they're 1,000
keep
times
the economies
smarter.
going, you know, keep the money flowing,
why
buy the stuff. Right, what?
That's an interest. So do you think AI is a net positive thing or a net negative? Or is it hard to predict at
I
this
don't
stage?
know if we can predict it. I think that there's a whole load of sort of Skynet, Terminator worry, like, oh, what will it do? But I think ultimately we'll control it. But it depends on who controls it then.
Who do you call the main character in Terminator?
John Connor.
We just need a John Connor to sort everything out.
Motion capture tools will be that good that people will live after they're dead, meaning video recordings of dead relatives will turn into a digital twin.
I have no idea. I have literally no clue. So,
but do you get what? So,
No.
like, just say that was like that light behind you was like a hologram, right? You've got like a hologram. So, like,
But they'll be conscious on that, or
nah, they might be able to, like, the same thing with the chip, where they'll put it in a computer and it'll maybe be a chip.
So it'll be
that's
like
had
an
their
AI
brain.
version of your dad.
Yeah,
from
of like a
30 years
of a
ago.
motion
with the
capture.
same-
And
But that would be
He'll probably be able to interact with you the exact
that
same.
would surely that would just make you feel worse as a human being, because you kn- like deep down you know that it's not your dad or your mum,
fucking traumatizing.
and they're acting the exact same way, the exact same little tiny, microsecond quirks that people come off with that only your relatives can do, to be your relatives, to be your mum or whatever. That would be fucking so strange. That would make me feel terrible.
Same, it'd be traumatizing the full time. But imagine, like, you're in a relationship with someone or whatever, and they break up. You're like, break up with me if you want. I'll get the hologram.
I have all your information stored on that, Sandra. Love, you fucking whack away.
You
there.
never slept with me last night. But
I
guess who
wank
did?
all over this wall in a minute when you go, you dirty bitch.
You just took that a wee bit too far. Maybe sweating. What's this one? This is actually good. Patients will have electronic access to their health records. Why don't we already have that?
Like you can log on, see your. Yeah, I've always understood that because I got haven't really been able to understand that. Like I've had blood pressure readings recently where I've been like, I'm not happy with that. Like when I've been in the hospital and stuff, which could just be white coat syndrome or whatever the fuck it's called. And I'm like,
What's white coat syndrome?
What is that the right terminology, Paul? It's like where you go into the hospital and because you're nervous about seeing people in like a white coat, you're nervous about the whole situation, your blood pressure's higher. You know what I mean? So it's not actually your accurate day-to-day reading of your blood pressure. But I've always wondered, why can't I log on to a portal and be able to see exactly what's going on?
Why can't I see everything?
What's my last blood pressure readings? Like I know you can't force people to do stuff, but everybody should be doing blood work maybe once a year, once every 6 months. And of course you can't force people to do that, but that should be like a non-negotiable.
This is one of your new things as well, because you've done blood work 2 months ago.
But you should be able to do that. Or
you should be able to.
It should be. Is it? No, I think it is free in the NHS, but people should do that, and it should be on a portal somewhere where you can actually see what's going on.
I don't understand how we can't see everything that we've done since we were a kid. Like all the vaccines you've had, like as in just log on and be like, right, I've done.
Nice simple portal of like a scroll at the bottom for different metrics of health and things like that. What you weighed when you were 15 versus what you weighed when you were 25.
You should be able to
maybe
go
like a
on
prognosis by a fucking AI bot of if you keep doing this, what it'll look like in 10, 15, 20 years, stuff like that.
Because I would be on there. Because even when I had to get vaccines to go to Asia, I had to phone up, be like, when did I get this vaccine?
But here's the thing, not a lot of people give a fuck about that. Like,
I think more people these days do.
Some people would rather not know about that. Like, I know people that would. I genuinely know people that if they did find a lump or whatever, they'd be like, they'd rather not go to the hospital to find out what it is, which is fucking ridiculous. They'd rather, like older people, for example.
Scared of dying.
Yeah, but if you're scared of dying, surely you go to the hospital then, if you find a lump.
But then they find out they're dying, like, fuck, I shouldn't have went.
It's the known.
I might not have died.
It's the known that they're afraid of. That's crazy.
Right, so everything we spoke about, there's two more that I'm going to go through because they're actual belters. This one, just say 2050, mental health conditions will be worse than ever due to all of this.
I don't think so, because I think they'll probably be able to come up with some kind of pharmacology that regulates your... Maybe not by 2050, but I think they'll be able to come up with something.
Do you think, when we say do you think that's what they want now? Or do they want more money?
Well, I think it's kind of...
More power.
In some ways controlled by the market as well, in our world, our side of the world as well. Like people will mental health is getting spoken about now more than ever. If they can come up with certain pharmacology to appease that, then someone's going to find a way to monetize it and sell it and make a fuck ton of money doing it.
I think there'll be like
Competition all the way to the top.
way more conditions, like way more mental health conditions, as in like ones we haven't heard of.
Well, there's, but do you think that,
Like people sitting with goggles on all day in the metaverse and stuff is going to give people different types of like mental health conditions.
that's crazy to even think about as well, and that's like coming now.
Do you know what I mean? Like people that already are...
Has Apple just brought out a product there? Have you seen this?
I don't know. The stuff like that gives me...
It's like Apple Vision.
You like switch it on.
It's
and
like $4,000.
And you like, what is it? You can go through your home screen and all, can't
Yeah,
you?
but it also has got a screen that's on the front that puts a digital version of your eyes. So when you're sitting with the goggles on, people look at you, they can see your eyes.
People will literally, there'll be some individuals that never leave the house ever again.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
If you can watch porn on that, like,
Why the fuck would you
why
try
would you go out? You know what I mean? Like, it's
Why would
literally
you try shag anyone?
That's crazy to think about.
Shag someone on your couch?
We just put
Like,
your
that'll be a
glasses on.
thing in 20 years, do you think? You'll be able to shag someone that isn't actually there on your couch with
Yeah.
a sex doll and an AI vision helmet, or a fucking whatever they're
I
called.
don't even know if we'll need the helmet. I think we'll just have like robots, like Black Mirror.
Robot prostitutes?
Either that or maybe Ready Player One. You seen that movie, the Spielberg movie, where the guys get the suit and it's like a full body suit and it's got loads of like tiny wee sensors and it sort of like pushes into your eye. So like if you're playing COD and somebody shoots you, you feel the bullet hit you and shit. Like that type of
That
thing.
would be class. I prefer that over the porn, to be fair. Like being in a real world COD,
Yeah, that'd be class.
that would be fucking amazing.
Me and you would be addicted to that instantly.
People would never be off that.
Or like...
Because that's like video games times 20 in terms of stimulation.
Yeah. Kids
And
are...
negative emotion, positive emotion, all of it, without actually dying.
Yeah. You will be able to 3D print your organs. Do you get what I mean? So like if your heart, you got a heart.
Do you notice that like I'm always looking at Paul here first for like validation? Straight, I'm like,
I see his reaction.
yes.
I think so.
I'm not saying yes or no. It's more your opinion.
I don't know. You know, I'm really uncomfortable about commenting on things that I have no notion of, but I think, do you mean like they'll be able to make organs in a
Yeah,
lab?
you got a
that's-
liver. You've genetically, you've got a liver that doesn't work
So-
properly. So like being able to literally like print a fucking organ that's the same.
Obviously, you don't, you haven't asked these questions from a point of like, I believe them, you're the same as me. But does reading all this morning make you think like, this is fucking mad, what's coming up over the course of the next 30 to 50 years?
I was already like, obviously, I listen to quite a lot of podcasts. I've obviously heard some stuff, but I've never, and I have done the odd bit of research, but I don't like reading it. There's a weird, uncomfortable feeling I get when I read stuff like that, because there's always there's always a negative part of it as well. If you read a blog post or a podcast, like Elon Musk and all that are like, we need to stop how fast it's going. Is it Elon Musk that says that? We have no fucking idea what we're talking about. It's great. Some people are like, slow down AI. And I'm like, I agree.
Yeah, but I think, again, those are the opinions that get out into the open because they're
Louder.
negative and loud as well. Like, there probably is loads of, more intelligent people than Elon Musk when it comes to AI, saying lots of really positive things. But we, just as a species, for some reason, we pay more attention to negative things. You just have to look at newspapers and stuff. So when Elon Musk comes out and says AI is bad, slow down AI, people are going to pay much more attention to that than a scientist somewhere in America who is 5 times more qualified than Elon Musk to talk about AI.
Yeah.
Who says good things are happening here.
I feel like what you're saying with the louder chat or like more negative stuff is the same. Well, and I'm not going to go into a full subject about this because I actually hate talking about, like, see with all the woke chat, I don't think that anyone even cares anywhere near as much as everyone makes out. Like, see if I go into like 5 different friend groups, no one will even talk about any of that sort of stuff really. And then you go on the internet, and I watched one video this morning that was like, I don't know who's that, Dylan Murray. That's his name, isn't it? That's not. It's definitely not.
I have
What's
no
his-
idea who you're talking
Douglas. Douglas Murray. See, I told you my friend is that Dylan Murray. I probably went to school with him.
about. Who is he?
The gay guy that's been on Chris Williamson. That's
Blue hair?
no, he's not. He's like he says he's gay, but isn't part of the queer community. That was one of the things he said. He just basically slags all the pronoun stuff. But I just think those people or that topic gets so many views because it's that outlandish or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you actually go speak to like just go into random friendship groups, no one's speaking about that because nobody really cares.
Yeah. But you also think that we don't know those sort of people because
I'll probably run
that
a
isn't
mile
our
to be
stance.
fair.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Probably hear that chatting.
Not that it isn't our stance, but we're not that way. We're not in those groups because we're not into that sort of stuff.
And we're
as
just
well.
we're not really debaters about those sort of things. Like
Yeah.
we're not into politics or anything like that.
not really.
Not remotely.
No, just for a laugh sometimes. But
Right. Do you want to do the other part of the
is this
podcast?
right. Is there no way more? I was actually enjoying the AI.
Oh, we might have another one.
Futuristic
Do you
stuff.
want? Oh, we've got another one that you'll like.
Okay.
I wrote a few. I didn't know how much you would, because you've settled in pretty well, Michael. I'm really glad because I was scared.
You're scared it was going to be boring as fuck.
No, it's because
and quiet.
you were like, what we're going to talk about, and I was like, don't worry about it. It's fine. You didn't trust me.
I think we always had this thing where we were like, if we ever do these things, it has to be when we first touch down with each other, wherever we're
I
going.
couldn't.
Yeah.
But also, it has to be. It can't be work related or fitness related. Me and you'll just like there'll be a glaze over our eyes if we have conversations about that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is mad though, because when we done that Free and Simple group, Simon used to run the conversations and we used to do the Facebook lives.
Yep.
For when me and you go live on something, we're great. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Like we bounce
Podcast
off each
seems
other.
a wee bit more formal, doesn't it, than like a live kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, but I think if we make it more like the live, which we have today, I think. Like, do you know what I mean? Just random fucking chat.
Yep.
It's way better. And not worrying about it being good, I think, is the thing as well.
Ask me your final question.
I might not be able to pronounce some of these words. Every surgery will have a genome reader able to read a person's genetic makeup and within 5 minutes be able to conduct potential genetic diseases. We looked at Paul. It's not a yes or no
Give me
question.
more. I don't think. Say the question one more time.
Right, so Matt, right, we'll set the scene.
Dyslexic it down, like dumb it down a little bit.
Speak to me like I've got dyslexia. You walk into a surgery, there's some sort of reader. Maybe imagine it's like when you go into the airport.
I love the way you've made it like situational for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You walk into an airport and
Right.
remember, and like you put your bag
Yes.
to go through. Your bag's going through, and then you go through the scanner, and they go, he looks a bit like a nonce.
Yep.
So let's bring him into the nonce scanner, and you have to put your hands out like that.
Yep.
And then it scans you up and down, right? So you go into one of them in the surgery, not because you look like a nonce, just because they're trying to figure some things out. It will be able to read your genetic makeup. So like, what does that mean? Maybe like your blood type.
Can you explain genetic makeup for me, please?
Absolutely not. your genetic, like maybe your blood type. What else
I don't
have we got?
think. Would it be able to tell your blood type? Not sure. From a scanner.
I do, mate. It's fucking
I know
2050.
you're just fucking.
It's 2050. And do what we want.
Just keep saying random shit there. Go.
Blood type.
What else are they going to scan for?
Distribution of muscle fibers.
They can already do that, can't they?
I don't know. They'll also know things
I think you're right.
like your cholesterol. Genetic makeup's more like, what would that be like? So like, there's a lot of heart failure in my family. Like heart attacks are really early, so they'll know stuff like that. By your actual genetic makeup. I've ran out of words here, Michael, so you're going to have to help me
You
out.
have said the word genetic makeup about 4 times.
I've ran
to be
out.
fair. Yeah.
Let's help me out. Pull me out of the ditch.
Well, I don't know if they'll be able to like I don't know if they'll be able to tell your DNA through a scanner. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, but surely they need to go inside you to get your actual your DNA, or as you said, genetic makeup. I think they'll be able to scan for certain things.
Well, what about the scanner pricks you and all at the same time?
Just up the ass, like straight up.
Wee prick.
Yeah, maybe.
And do you think this is a positive or negative, Michael? Come on.
I think it's if they can get it working where it fucking scans you and it's able to tell you if you're going to have a heart attack in 15 years, and it can tell you what your blood type is and what your cholesterol is. If that machine will exist out there in 30 or 40 years,
I will know your blood type. Don't you worry about that.
Then I think it's obviously a good thing.
Do you think there's any scenario where that would be negative? Like, what if you didn't know you were going to get a heart attack?
Imagine 60 years ago when you're going to get on a flight from fucking Dublin to New York and you have to scan all your shit manually, and that someone back then was like, called Harrod or whatever, was like, do you know in 50 years they're going to have things in the airport where you just put it through and they'll be able to tell you've got explosives on it, and if they think you've got explosives, they'll fucking feel your cock and your ass and stuff and put you in a wee room and interrogate you. I think most people would say that's a net positive thing. There probably is negatives that you can find. I'm going to be
honest, I zoned out until you said cock and ass. I had no idea what you're talking about.
Sounds like
so we'll move on.
I had somebody tell me a sort of negative scenario around this type of sort of tech.
Go for it. I love the cynicism.
Where he said that, say for instance, your life insurance company has access to like your statistics, and in 2021 they're like, oh, between the next 3 to 5 years, this guy's 25% more likely to have a heart attack than your next life insurance has a clause where it's like, we're not going to pay out for heart attacks. And you don't read that because we don't read shit. And you sign that and then you die and your family are like, where's my 10, 15, 20 grand? And they're like, oh, we knew he was going to have a heart attack, so we put a wee clause in his last renewal.
And why wouldn't they do that?
Of course they would do that. Yeah, 100% they would fucking do that.
You know what I mean? They'd have to be absolute idiots not to do that.
See, that's why I'm a wee bit.
But that's one negative of it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It's don't get me wrong, it's a pretty fucking big negative. But just, I think, is there anything that was ever invented where there isn't like a net negative, or there isn't some negative? Definitely is.
Also hypothetical as well. It's like it wasn't real. The guy was just sort of like playing devil's advocate.
It was just a hypothesis. Is that the right word?
I just get scared with all the consequences that we don't know about.
You get scared about everything. Don't worry.
Yeah,
you really do. You are just like a cynical, sometimes negative person when it comes to outlooks.
Have you seen the price of food in the shops? It's a fucking joke. Price of electricity.
I actually said to your dad last night, I was like, £6 for chicken at the moment. It's just that typical chat you do with, like, that's the ultimate small talk, isn't it? I think you weren't in the room for about 2 minutes and nobody said anything, and then that was the icebreaker.
I was in the toilet and I could hear the chat was about money, and I was like, they've got about 4 minutes of that chat and then I'll come back down.
Rushing your pish.
Yeah, trying to
get it out as quick as possible.
Save the chat. Right, because this has been a chat about absolutely nothing, we're going to go on to the next white male podcast subtopic of an overrated, underrated, and we don't have to just, this isn't quick fire, because I feel like there'll be some push and shove with some of these, because some of these are on the internet and some of these are stuff that I made up. Right, so first one, overrated, underrated, or what's the one in the middle? Adequately rated, or there's an easier way?
Properly rated.
That's an easier way to say it, yeah. I won't be able to say adequately. Love.
Like, expand, like it
love.
being in love,
romantic love. Romantic love.
Very underrated.
You think it's underrated?
Love, like being in love, having a companion.
Yeah. No, it's not really having. It's not really having a companion. More just like love, like as in that feeling. Yeah, but you can be in love for 6 months.
Do you mean in love like the first 3 months of a relationship? Like that sort of thing?
Just the concept of love.
The concept of love is,
I know, it's
a very broad spectrum of, I think love is underrated. What do you think?
What did we say the middle one? Properly rated?
Properly rated, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
I think there's And I could be coming at this from an angle of someone that's been in a relationship for 10 years. And
Well,
is
obviously
engaged.
you're going to come at
So I'm slightly biased, but I think being able to share your existence with someone is not only like part ingrained in human nature, it's also a fucking fantastic thing.
Right, I'm going to say one that I think you'll agree with this anyway. I think the feeling that people think love is a bit like the way they think of happiness is, right? So like people will chase that infatuation period a lot,
Right.
Whereas
The initial.
so they overrate that. I think, yeah, or yeah, because it can be the initial, but like people think that's meant to stay. I think,
Yeah.
and I've succumbed to that when I was younger. I don't think I'm as bad for that now. I think I've just got in the wrong ones.
The honeymoon. You're talking about the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, I don't think I've fell for that. I think I've just got in the wrong relationships. But I think people underrate the companionship you're talking about. Whereas it's more about a bit like sacrificial and stuff.
Yeah, people are saying like self-love is the only way. Like I think it's much better to have someone that you're with that you can share, like going to bed at night saying night night, love you, things like that. Like that's great. But it doesn't give you that a feeling that you obviously had the first 6 months. Like you can't beat that feeling, and you're never gonna get that feeling ever again where you're just she's coming down to your house 3 or 4 times a week. You're sitting watching Netflix, ordering food. You don't want her to leave. When she does leave, you miss her so much. You can't wait till she gets home. Till she like that inevitably isn't going to stay forever. But it morphs into something slightly different, where it's like, I'm trying to think of the word. Like it's not as intense, but it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think some people struggle with that fading.
They shouldn't, because how can you expect to feel like that about someone? You shouldn't feel. Stop it. Like, how can you expect to feel like that about what is anything in your life, other probably even hard drugs, to be fair, that like you feel like that intensely about forever? Think about the gym. Think about the first time you started the gym, how that made you feel. Like that process of first, going in, eating healthy, feeling amazing about training, getting like such an endorphin release after training. We don't feel like that about training anymore.
I think as you get older, you just get out, you accept to be a bit more stoic about these things, don't you?
Yeah, you just can't keep those. I don't know what the word is for, but you just can't keep those feelings around.
I feel like
forever.
you learn that about every topic as well.
Huh?
I feel like you learn the same lesson with every topic, like the gym or like a relationship, unreal at the start, and then it's like still good if it's a good relationship.
Yeah, but you obviously still find things that you don't like about the person.
Yeah. The gym, like unreal at the start, and then it won't give you that same satisfaction, but there's still something about it that will keep your life better. Same with a relationship. If you keep a good relationship going,
Yeah.
Then we'll work as well. We don't get excited about work. We probably did at the first year or two, but still, I would rather do what I'm doing than go another job. So like the novelty wears off.
What you just said is so true. Like you have to almost assess what the other side of that is as well. I think you have to I think meditating on that quite regularly is a good, not like sitting down, but actually thinking about it regularly is a really good thing. Like sometimes we think about work and we're like sitting on a Sunday night and we're like, oh fuck, and see, sometimes when I'm feeling like that, I think about how I used to feel working in a hotel 10 hours a day. And you should do that with your relationships as well. I'm not messing, like if you ever have a moment where you're like, oh, this, like the grass might be greener doing this or whatever, you have to think about the other end of that, if you know what I mean.
Well, I'm not going to go into this because I've said it so many times, but I've journaled like my last breakups, and like anytime the rose tinted glasses come on, you just look at it and go, ah, that's all right.
Like I genuinely
like,
know now, and again, this could just be like something that people say, but I genuinely don't think there's a better person for me than Bobby. And that probably comes from like being with her for 10 years as well. Like we know each other really well, but I genuinely wouldn't want to be with anybody else, even if she does annoy me sometimes and things like that. Like I really wouldn't.
I'll clip that and send it to her.
Thanks very much.
Oh, Macca's making my clips.
Like she does annoy the fuck out of me sometimes as well, and vice versa, as you've experienced yesterday. I annoy like she deserves a medal sometimes.
But your missus has more of a go at me than you.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
She actually gives me a harder time than she gives you a harder time.
Well, you don't see the hard time she gives me, to be fair, as well.
Maybe she just switches it up when I'm
But
there.
yeah, love, like that whole love companionship thing is so underrated.
Chinese food.
Overrated. And that comes from the aspect of I love eating out and I love takeaways. I think as far as takeaways go, it's very overrated. I think it's nice, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't not eat it if it was in front of me and I was hungry. But I think there's better takeaways. And I think also the Chinese food that we eat should be called British Chinese food because it's not actually Chinese food.
Chinese food attempted by a British man.
Yeah.
Who's never been to China
Yeah.
and lives in a council estate.
You have to give the whole idea. It's Jews though. Like whoever, like we're fucking stupid as a population. How can we be eating that? And actually, there's people that actually think like they eat like that in fucking Shanghai and Beijing. There literally is like, I'd say a good 40% of the population probably think like that's the way they eat in Beijing.
You're probably right, and I absolutely agree.
But you think takeaways and eating out is overrated?
I don't think eating out is.
You think
I think takeaways are. I think eating out, like if we're gonna go to Pisano tonight, I'm gonna.
Is there any takeaway that is the authentic real thing? Pizza, even that can be fucking stretched. Kebabs, probably not the real thing.
If you go to Turkey and get a kebab, it's different. Different here.
Yeah, the kebab that we eat's German.
Oh,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it was a Turkish guy in Germany that made it for Germans.
Indian?
Nope. They don't eat chicken tikka masala or like anything like that. Do you know, I've got a controversial take.
Oh, that's
Here we go.
Salt and chili stuff is fucking rank.
I agree.
Absolutely fucking rank. Now, I would caveat that by saying the first bite is like amazing.
Yeah.
And it does something to your brain, like where you're like, whoa, man.
That'd be the MSG.
But then
I
see, by
think.
the time you get to the end of that fucking rotten, salty, disgusting, it's caked in something, and it just makes you feel like your soul's leaving your body. Like you're actually about
There's
to
a way
die.
you feel after like something like that you can't actually articulate. You just feel fucking.
But
That's what I don't
have you
like
ever had
about it
like
as well.
pho, like bone broth?
Nah.
Oh my god!
Is this proper?
So this is the opposite, like because it's get sort of strange spices. So the smell of it, there's something in you. You're like, I can't eat that.
I'm already like my face just went.
But see, once you're like
Even
4
the
or 5
pronunciation. Pho.
Right.
PHO, that is that's
Oh, even
pho.
worse.
But it's a bone broth, and then it's got like chicken and vegetables. But see, once you're like sort of like 5 or 6 sort of sips into it, man, you're like, oh my god, this is amazing. So it's like the opposite. Your first couple of sort of
you're a
bites
bit,
are
yeah.
like, oh, I don't know about this, and then there's something inside you's like, this is good for us, man. Like keep eating it, like keep going.
What else is there? So Indians aren't like authentic.
I think Italian's pretty authentic.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's that many Italians
And
here
what-
that we can't get that wrong.
What other cuisines would you get?
That's how we've run
That's
it.
literally it, isn't it?
Well, like Thai,
Indian, Chinese,
Thai.
Thai food. No, that's probably not how Thai people eat. I wouldn't imagine.
Well, I've been to Thailand,
Have you? Didn't know.
Cambodia, Vietnam, Bali, India.
So Chinese food overrated. I think it's nice, but
I think as a cultural habit, that's my like.
what would you say? You'd say overrated too, yeah.
Yeah, massively
Massively
overrated.
overrated.
And I'm like, people think I didn't eat them. I ate them all through my childhood, all through up until like 21. I would be Saturday night every Chinese. I'd
I
like
don't
everyone
understand
else.
people that say like Chinese food, like that is their favorite food. I think that says something about the person.
Yeah, you've never tried anything else, obviously.
Do you know what I think's underrated? Cooking. People, it's like seen as like a waste of time.
Which is why you should buy my recipe book.
But it's seen as like a waste of time for some reason now. It's like, save time on your cooking and blah, blah, blah. It's like, cooking's like, I don't know, man. See,
Like a
cooking
Sunday
meal
dinner,
for somebody.
like a proper Sunday dinner,
Yeah,
like
you're
prepping all that, taking like
Uh-huh.
6 or 7 hours, chopping all the spuds.
Have you ever like cooked Christmas dinner?
Yeah, yeah.
He
sitting
made
down-
us a class Christmas
Right.
dinner.
See, sitting down and seeing your friends and family.
There's
eating a
nothing
meal
better than that
you've
feeling.
prepared, and they're like, "This is amazing." Honestly, mate, there's nothing.
See when
better
everybody's
than that.
like, see when you were sitting in front of me on the table Christmas Day in Melbourne, being like, "This is fucking class!" Like, use cranberry sauce and homemade gravy and stuff. Like, this is the best thing. This is the best Christmas dinner I've ever had. Like, I can still remember how I felt at that table. Like, that was
I've
brilliant.
told you this before. That's the best day of my life.
is any other reason than just...
Well, I went
then
out
just
on
the-
Christmas Eve, got bladdered, woke up still drunk. Then you'd already had the Christmas dinner on, I could smell it. Then we were making cocktails, so I was at fucking half cut whilst eating an unreal Christmas dinner
Yeah.
in my house. And it was the best Christmas dinner I'd had. Then we played Heads Up,
That was class.
and Bobby had it on our head, and there was 3 of us, and she went down the toilet, and you tried to pretend to flush a toilet and farted, and then she got it. And then we went to impromptu rave on Brighton Beach
Yeah.
that nobody knew was happening.
Yeah.
And there was 4,000 people
And
at
the
it.
weather was just perfect, like 25 degrees, sun coming down, nothing, hardly any breeze.
And
Perfect.
yous didn't really come out that much, so yous were there, and all my mates from the bar
Yeah.
were there, so everyone I liked was there. And then I went to the SP after it, and that was my favourite bar at the time. I had the best day of my fucking life.
Like, that was like a really good day for me in Australia, which there wasn't many of, right? But my granny seen a photo of me on that beach, and you know what she always says to me when like I show her, when she's looking at photos, she's like, I could just tell by that photo Australia wasn't for you, son. And I was like, Granny, that was literally one of my favourite days in Australia. Cheers, Gran.
Rags to rich stories.
Overrated. Underrated, maybe at a certain stage of your life where you just need any sort of like inspiration to fucking give yourself a kick up the vagina. But I think at a certain stage, probably overrated and oversimplified.
I think 80% of us could make up a rags to rich story.
Yeah.
Like most of us have been skint. Most normal people have been absolutely skint.
Yeah.
I could tell you, I grew up with a mum with mental health issues. Do you know
I
what I
think
mean?
it just sells well as well.
Like and it's all true. We're on benefits.
Well, you think about the things that do really well on social media from a fitness standpoint. It's like I was 500 kg, did this diet for 8 weeks, and now look at me, I'm 80 kg and have fucking washboard abs.
So just saying, a year's time, if I make a lot of money, which I say I'll happen all the time, I was fat all my childhood. It's probably because I was on benefits and we only had access to processed foods. My mum had mental health issues. I asked her for a pair of football boots and she said no. My dad had no money. He was a white van man. I've lived in council estates my full life. Like, fucking shut up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would hate to go down that route. And I think it's so easy to make up that story. Like, you hear everyone like, oh, I was staying on my friend's couch. Fucking solve loads of us.
Yeah. But I think, like I said, a lot of people appreciate that story. A lot of people need that story at a certain stage of their lives as well. I think.
You can get it from one person instead of every cunt. Though.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's a sales tactic, I think.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just a sales tactic.
So I think that's overrated. What else have you got?
It's getting to the point where people like Musk,
What's his?
his is like, I went to Canada with no money in my pocket. It's like, no. Like, his grandfather owned a jewel mine in South Africa. Like, he had like,
I work 26 hours a day.
Yeah, and I think it's a type of pornography
Yeah.
that actually
It's
ends
nice to hear, isn't it? Like,
it ends up holding people back. Like, people think, because what we've been doing, and I think we're coming out of this to a certain extent, we've been listening to the 1%ers.
Yeah.
Like, see people that go, I'm really inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger's story. It's like, nobody's ever going to be like that ever again.
My dad had a hot take on him
One
last
in a
night.
billion. Like, he's 1 in 7 million people.
Yeah.
And if you sit and read his books and study his life and try and enact that was like the 60s and the 70s.
You'll
and
also
you won't be able to action those things these days. more than
exactly,
likely.
man.
You'll
And-
also be an utter cunt if you go down those routes.
Yeah, well, you find most of those people are, like we talked about yesterday, on a spectrum of from being a psychopath to a narcissist kind of thing as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, to be there, you have to be a real, like, we know one particular fitness guy from where I'm from who will remain nameless but makes a lot of money, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's like definitely like a narcissist, like maybe
Yeah.
even more than that,
Yeah. This isn't who people think it is.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Like,
there's a bit of mystique.
People wouldn't be able to guess that.
Hopefully.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, there's a lawsuit waiting for us more than likely.
yeah, fucking. Yeah. Handshakes.
Underrated. Yeah.
I'm going overrated. I get stressed out with handshakes with people I don't know because I feel like I've always
think
got to
first
give those.
impressions are quite important.
I think they're overrated. First, like the handshake, I'm quite bad at handshakes, and I overthink them a bit because it's like if a guy's hand's bigger than mine, I know he's going to give me a hard shake. I don't want to do it back.
I think you're overthinking it.
I'd rather have a fist pump.
You ever get these ones?
Yeah, all the time. Because I'm an overthinker. I don't know what's happening, so I'm like,
Now you just end up doing this.
yeah. And I've grabbed many a fist.
Sounds a bit sexual. I'd say underrated. Because I think it's probably important to introduce yourself to people. Like you ever meet someone for the first time, they're just like fucking sitting, like they'll just like float around in the background and just like there's just nothing worse than that.
I've never done that in my life. Yeah. I've met people that
the way you would introduce yourself, you would just like, "Hi, how are you? My name's Gavin. Nice to meet you." But you wouldn't like
even like when you met people I knew from school yesterday. I would introduce you.
It's also
straight away.
It seems to be a bit of a dying thing.
Yeah,
seems like, for example, your dad shook my hand last night.
He was quite good last night, by the way. He was on form. Like, as in that he was like right up to you.
Yeah.
He usually has 10 minutes of being a bit fucking standoffish.
Just fucking took that flag down before I came around to
That's
the
not
house.
ours.
Like, I don't give a fuck.
It looks like it's ours, so.
It does. Like my dad would probably shake your hand.
Yeah.
Like first, it seems to be kind of like an older custom. Nowadays, we don't really do it that much.
Me and you are quite good for it, though, I'd say. Like
handshakes?
Yeah.
I would shake someone's hand if I met them for the first
right,
time.
reading opinions that oppose your own.
Underrated as fuck.
Yeah, I'd agree. And we probably don't do that enough.
Yeah, but I think I'm also hyper aware that a lot of the things that I believe maybe aren't true.
Yeah.
I've probably just heard it in a podcast 2 weeks ago, and I'm reciting it.
Me and Kaelin walked up a hill the other week, and like me and him would both listen to quite a lot of podcasts, and he came out. He was like, "This girl's messaged me," and I was like, "Are you into her or whatever?" And he was like, "No, not at all." And I was like, "Is she not a friend?" And he went, "She's a low spectrum acquaintance." That's the most Kaelin thing I've ever heard.
Low spectrum acquaintance.
Yeah, and I just looked at him. I was like, "Take a fucking break from the podcast."
Explain.
like she's not even in this.
Why he's heard
sphere.
that somewhere?
Yeah, 100%. There's no way that's just fucking floated out his mouth.
Yeah. I think they're underrated. Yeah, I think
Finance cars.
like one of the most overrated things in society.
I walk around my council estate and there's cars that are worth like 80 grand sitting outside houses that are worth 70 grand,
Yep.
which I can't get my head around.
Extremely overrated. I think a car you probably shouldn't spend at most 5% more of your yearly income on a car. And people will be doing the maths in their head and thinking, I can't afford a car then. But it's true. Like, how does it make sense? Where's the logic behind spending more than 5% of your income on something that depreciates in value over time, and the only reason you're buying it is to make yourself feel better or to portray an opinion of yourself that isn't actually even true?
You've been slaughtered a few times for your car, haven't you?
All the time.
I haven't been slaughtered for mine because no one really knows what it is.
Someone wrote on my story the other day, what they write? Why do you still drive a scrapper? Seen you driving about Antrim the other day.
And do you know, I think it's funny when opinions like that come from someone that, like, I'm just going to make an assumption because I love an assumption. He probably lives paycheck to paycheck and has a nice car.
Yeah. I would wish that guy is sitting there. Like, I really want
Bet
to
you he does,
understand the logic though. Like, I want someone to give me like a detailed 5-minute speech on why financing a car that is worth 75, let's say the car is worth 30 grand and you earn 25 grand a year, I'd love them to explain that. I'd love to understand it.
That's one thing I feel like there's a pressure of when I come back home, and it's not anything to do with Scottish or Irish culture. It's a hometown thing.
Let's challenge our...
Do you know what I mean? It's just what... So when I come back here, I always feel like there's... Even though no one's really saying anything to me, I feel more pressured to get in a relationship. If I've lived here, I feel more pressured.
Or if you spend time with me.
Yeah, exactly. Feel more pressure. No, I'm not even really saying someone's saying it to me. Or maybe my dad will make the odd comment. I'm like, mate, you've shagged anyone in about 15 years. Fuck off.
Big John.
Maybe mute that. More pressure to like have a nicer car. I do feel like, well, I've had the odd comment about my car, and I feel more pressure to like get a mortgage or something.
Yeah.
And
the rat race.
And not the relationship one, doesn't bother me that much.
I don't think the relationship one can be
the other two
thrown into that category.
The other two.
See, when I say things like "you need a girlfriend," by the way, you do know like I'm literally only joking now. Like
now you are.
Maybe I meant it when I first said it, but when I do say it now, I'm like I'm just trying to annoy you.
So the other two, I think a mortgage wouldn't suit me at all.
Mortgage
I would lose the
a mortgage
plot.
is completely different to finance. I think finance on a car.
Yeah, a mortgage for me, I would only be able to do it if I knew that I could move out and get someone in it. Because I'll probably
I do
get
get
bored.
what you mean. No, what you're more talking about is like this
hometown sort of thing.
This hometown progress chart that people go through.
Yeah,
like get the 17, get your driving license, get a car, get a girlfriend, get engaged with a ring that is way too expensive. Take out a mortgage on a house.
Post it all on Instagram.
Do a wedding that costs 300% what you make a year.
Yeah.
Live for, like, pay it off for the next 10 to 15 years. Like, here, before you move on to the next one, if you were that like dude that asked me that question the other day, why do you drive a nice car? Or why don't you drive a nice car? Seeing you driving out in the scrapper the other day. If he was sitting there, what do you think his justification for driving an Audi A6 would be? But it being financed, if he earned, like, let's hypothetically say he earns 20 grand a year. What do you think he would sit there and say, like, why he does it? Do you think he would have a logical answer?
I think there'd be a lot of stuttering for a start. I think he'd maybe try somehow say that will cost you more, that you'll need to fix it. He'll some way of turning it around that's going to cost you more money or something. He'll say something ridiculous.
It's safer, which I suppose is a logical thing to say. It probably is safer.
And he would say something
Slightly.
like, but you're making more money, like, so you can get a better car. So
but I'm asking why he's driving that car. It's nothing to do with me. It's more to do with him driving a car that he can't afford.
I don't think people like that understand why they do it.
I can maybe understand why like mechanics and stuff do it because they're actually into cars, but I don't understand why people that don't give a fuck about cars as buy them as a status symbol.
Star single.
Star sign. Starfish.
Right, we'll do one last one and then we'll finish there. Productivity hacks.
Oh, I was going to jump in and say overrated.
Don't let him. It's fucking easy. Don't let him jump in.
I want to please Paul. Intellectually.
Yeah, he just started smiling as soon as I said
and he
it.
didn't give me anything either. So he went.
Give my take on it if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Productivity hacks are probably, what's the middle one?
I always forget the word. Not adequate.
Properly rated.
Yeah, there we go.
I would say that they're properly rated. I think that, but there's so many of them that people now think that it's like that they're waiting on the productivity hack that's going to make everything so much easier and blah, blah, blah. And ultimately, guys, like, there is nothing better than working hard. There is nothing that's going to... There's hacks to make your hard work go further.
How to be a millionaire in a month.
Yeah, you cannot skive and be productive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would say that if you have no productivity hacks or productivity sort of systems, they're well rated. Get them, because like things like Notion and all, they're fucking amazing.
Even a to-do list is a start.
Yeah, but the chasing of the new hack, the new thing that's
Yeah.
going to get it, I think that's totally overrated,
Yeah.
completely overrated.
I think it's underrated for the right person, but I also think people take it way too far to the point where it's almost like an addiction. It becomes like an addiction that they have, like finding the new thing.
Mental masturbation in it.
Yeah, honestly. And
And you spend more time watching how to do the hack than you do like actually being productive.
yeah, Chris Williamson said something great on that I can't remember, but it was like you spent an hour watching about productivity hacks and then don't do anything about it. You know,
Especially if you use
which seems like probably the most pointless thing ever,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Especially when you've learned if like our energies in the morning.
Have a very short morning routine, like.
Get up, go in the shower, brush your
Honestly,
teeth.
like make it 15 minutes long, maybe. Just something that gets your day started. Probably exercise in your day. Probably read a little bit. Probably don't spend too much time on your phone or on screens. You know, that's probably,
and you're fucking done.
yeah.
Do you think that clip will go viral?
I shot my shot.
Go clip that up. Put it up. Man, brush your teeth.
Who will have more league titles in the next 30 years, Rangers or Celtic?
Celtic.
Paul, your take?
Celtic.
Yeah, I think Celtic too, as a Rangers fan.
Good opinion. Right, we'll let you go on. That was actually good. That was better. We'll just keep doing it like that. You're fucking shit. Can you be arsed?
Yeah, so follow me on Instagram if you want to. My name's Mitch Food and Fitness.
Recipe book 2.
Recipe book 2 will be getting worked on when I can be arsed working on it, which will probably be in the next month.
That's a good sell. I'm enjoying it.
And I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's probably about it, isn't it? TikTok as well, same account.
Cool.
And yeah,
Catch you in the next one.
love yous all.